Hello everybody and welcome to Baking Sheet episode 7. Today we'll be playing with Jeskai Flash, and as you can tell, we're going to be throwing an Embercleave on a Dream Trawler. That's going to be our plan for today. Let's go ahead and get over and check it out. So, with today's list, what I'm going to be focusing on is the fact that Teferi the Time Reveler is gone. So we no longer have to be too afraid of actually playing our flash spells, which really destroy this deck. Without packing 4 Mystical Disputes in the side, it was pretty much impossible to beat Teferi the Time Raveler. So now we don't have to worry about that anymore. We going on, we'll go with the creatures first. I got 4 Spectral Sailor, 4 Brazen Borrower, 3 Bone Crusher Giant, 1 Angel of Grace, 3 Voracious Great Shark, and 1 Dream Trawler. Now, the Dream Trawler is definitely our top end, hope to win the game with it, but there's only one of in there because we do want to make sure that we are interactive throughout the game and have plenty to do to where we're not getting behind because we're not at 6 mana yet. So, and then Embercleave will pretty much never actually cost 6, but we do have the option of flashing it in on the end step for our opponent's turn if we need to. Then the 1 Angel of Grace is just kind of to protect against the aggro decks. There's one on the side as well. Just a nice way to, stop that alpha swing should they go for it and you don't really have any counter spells or anything like that. And then you can hopefully crack back and win after after they try for the alpha swing. Voracious Great Shark, it's not always going to be a counter spell. Sometimes it's just a flash 5/4 and that's, sometimes all you need for it. But it does counter enough things to still be relevant, and it's a big attacker that, pretty awesome to throw an Embercleave on. And we got 2 Shark Typhoons, just a good way to always have something to do, being able to just cycle at the end step, make a decent sized shark, or cycle in hopes to get another counter spell, something like that. Or if you need to, cycle for 1 and then have Lofted Denial, then, that's pretty awesome there too. I have 2 Chemister's Insights. It basically puts it up to 4 and it doesn't really take up much of our, spell slots, which is pretty good to have. Just to draw a couple of cards just in case you need it. Got 3 Rewind, 4 Ionize, 2 Quench, 4 Lofted Denial as our main counter spells. A lot of people have been making it where it's Lofted Denial or Quench. I like having both just because if they play around Quench, well, then, you can hit them with the Lofted Denial if you have a flyer. Sometimes they'll kill your flyer to make sure that they can have the 1 extra to, get around the Lofted Denial. Well, then you hit them with Quench. So it makes sure that they're always on their toes trying to guess and see like what you actually have, and makes playing around you pretty impossible, if possible, on your side. And then, we got our Triomes. We only have 1 Plains on the whole deck because there's not a ton that really uses it except for the sideboard. Outside of that, it's only the 1 Dream Trawler and 1 Angel of Grace in the main. So, you got your 4 Triomes, 4 Hollow Fountains, and that's pretty much it. So you got your Fabled Passages. That's all you really need. And then the sideboard, got 1 Narset of the Ancient Way to kind of help against aggro or control matchups. Aggro, it's with the life gain and the draw a card, discard a card to kill something. And then if you can get to the ultimate, you just end up winning the game that way. Angel of Grace, also against aggro. I have 2 Sublime Epiphany because, copying a Shark Typhoon or Voracious Great Shark is pretty awesome. And it helps stop with, like, Hydroid Crisis, stuff like that. 4 Scorching Dragonfire for the aggro matchups as well. 4 Dovin's Veto is pretty much for the ramp decks. You want to make sure that they absolutely cannot hit their Ugins or Nissas or Cultivates or anything like that. And then you just, have to counter the actual creature spells that matter. And then 3 Flame Sweep, also for the aggro matchups, and sometimes the mirror match. I mean, it gets rid of, quite a few cards. Gets rid of, like, the Brazen Borrowers, Spectral Sailors, just other sharks if they have those, stuff like that. So let's get into some games. Okay, so game 1 against Dago Speranza. This hand's actually not bad. Let me Get the graphics. Well, actually, I'm going to keep the graphics where they are, see if it'll do okay. I'd say it's not bad because we don't really have anything to do until turn 3 anyway. So we can just go Triome into Fabled Passage and go that route, and then have Ionize. So yeah, let's go ahead and keep this. Okay, looks like we're against some mono black. So depending on how aggressive they are, it's a little risky keeping this. Freebooter, sure. Well, unfortunately for them, we have a pretty full suite, so Freebooter does not actually hurt us all that bad. Now, ideally, we can draw an untapped land here, but let's see what happens. Nope. Okay, so we just have our Spectral Sailor, and we'll go ahead and crack this. There's no reason to not, basically. They already know our hand. They know we have double Spectral Sailor in hand, and we will just pass the turn. Oh, sorry. Yep, get in for 2 here. It's not a big deal. Alright, so go ahead and flash in the Sailor now. Still would like to see an untapped land, just that way we could have Sailor plus Lofty if they decide to kill this. Yep, which they do have Murder. Okay. There we go. So now we have Ionize or Spectral Sailor plus Lofty Denial. And then we also have our untapped Fabled Passage next turn, which is pretty good. So again, we'll just let this go. It's not a big deal. And again, we will try for the Spectral Sailor. Now if they go to kill it again, we do have the Lofty Denial back up. Okay, now they have to have double kill spell, and if they do that, then I am perfectly happy. Okay, so Quench is a good draw. And that's the thing that I was talking about, is now, well, all they know that we have in our hand is Ionize, but we also have the Quench, so if they try and play around the... I'll go ahead and attack. There's no reason to block here for anything, really. But if they're trying to play around the Lofty Denial and they just kill the Spectral Sailor, well, now we have Quench up too. And at this point, pretty much anything that they play, we're going to go ahead and counter. We have the rewind, so okay. So yep, we'll go ahead and rewind this. And then now we still have counter spells up, and if they should play whatever else is in their hand. Yep, so now we're just going to quench this. We want to leave up the Ionize since they're getting ahead on mana a little bit. Okay, there's our second white source. That's good. So now the cool thing is we have Ionize still, but then we also have the ability to just start drawing cards, which is really good for us. You know, they're only hitting us for a couple points a turn. It's not really anything too crazy. Oh, I should have drew a card there. That's my bad. Okay, so I'll just go ahead and attack, which I know the attacking is only keeping parity with the Vampire of the Dire Moon, but we want to make sure that we can just kind of keep them at a bit of a lower life total. So now I'm going to go ahead and stomp the Freebooter, get our Ionize back, and since we already have the second Ionize up anyway, and if we draw a land, we can play the Bone Crusher and have Ionize up next turn. Okay, that works too. So we will go ahead and play the Bone Crusher. It does suck. We're probably going to have to start trading with the Vampire here, but we're going to wait a couple of turns and see. Oh, yeah, that's not going to happen. That's not going to happen. Sorry about that. Okay, cool. So Yeah, we'll go ahead and swing in. If they trade with it, which, I mean, obviously they're going to do, it's not the end of the world. Okay. So, depending on if they try and play anything here, we can just draw a card with the sailor and flash in another one. Yep, okay. So, draw a card, and we'll go ahead and flash in another sailor. Now we have a third Ionize, which is pretty good. Ionize is something that, people haven't really been playing. Teferi has definitely made that less of a good card to be playing. But now I think it's in a really good spot. Alright, so we'll go ahead and Ionize this. They could have a kill spell or something like that, but since we have 2 threats now, then I'm not all that worried about it. Okay, I'm not worried about Rankle. So if they make us discard, that's actually kind of good for us because now they don't know that this rewind is the other card that we have. And we are getting a little low on life, so I'll go ahead and leave 1 Spectral Sailor back. Yeah, we'll go ahead and Ionize that. Okay. And we will go ahead and block here, just save a little bit of our life. Another Ionize, okay. No attacks. Okay, I'm gonna rewind there. That way if they go and try and play their Demonic Embrace, we can also Ionize. Mainly right now we're wanting to see, yep. So now they have to, oh, they just played it from their hand, okay. I was gonna say now they have to discard a card and they still don't even get the Demonic Embrace, but that's pretty good for us. Well, Embercleave is not it. So they could kill us here, but we'll see. Doesn't look like they are going for it, which I don't blame them at all. Not knowing what we have in hand, it's kind of risky for them to discard the card and lose 3 life. Whereas now, since we can just flash in this Embercleave, the discard doesn't really do much of anything. So we draw another Embercleave, naturally. So we gotta draw something here. Okay, that's a good draw, because this will be a 4/4, so that is just about perfect. So even if they do discard to put something on, to put the Demonic Embrace, we can still make it a 4/4 and trade. Okay, and we will go ahead and make it a 4/4. We could make it a 3/3 just to try and, straight trade with it, but having 1 mana isn't going to do any good for us. Okay, so they have the murder there, and that's, it is what it is. Yep. So they got us on that one, and that's fine. Come on. Alright, so now we want our Scorching Dragonfires. We want Narset and probably some Sublime Epiphany. We'll go down on the Embercleave, down on Angel of Grace, and cut all of the borrowers and 1 Lati Denial. The main reasoning for that is the borrowers, us bouncing things does not really do anything to them. Most of their creatures either have haste or they're cheap enough that the tempo we get from bouncing doesn't really put us ahead. Yeah, this is actually a pretty good hand. So we go Triome, have Quench or Stomp up, and then here in a couple of turns we'll have Chemist's Insight, and then hopefully the Sublime Epiphany can do some good things. Now, funny enough, if we copy the Bone Crusher with our Sublime Epiphany, we actually take some damage there, so that'll be something to keep in mind. Alright, so we'll go ahead and quench that. We don't really want them seeing what's in our hand. Okay, go ahead and get a second blue source here just to make sure that we always have that. And if they have a second Remorse... Okay, so we're going to go full control here. They're going to land. It's going to trigger. And then we're going to stomp it. So they will get to see our hand, but they're not going to get to actually keep anything. Because whatever they would take is just right back to our hand anyway. So basically they just get to look at our hand. Yeah, actually that's pretty good. I'm going to shock in there. Reasoning for that is we want to be able to Chemist's Insight, or if need be, just flash in a Sailor. So we will see what they do here. Dread Presence? Okay, sure. Alright, go ahead and get this Chemist's Insight in. Dragonfire's perfect. Okay, so we shock in. We're going to do this now, just in case. There's not a ton of things that I am worried about, but if we let them go, they get their land drop, so we might as well just do it now. Yep. We can flash in the ionize, or flash in Spectral Sailor, but we will just go ahead and ionize that. And now we're only a land away from having Epiphany. Okay, well, we also have the Great Shark as well, so that works. Feeling pretty good now. We're still at a high enough life total. Okay, so let's flash in the Great Shark so we can start getting our own damage in. Okay, so that will come in tapped, but that's okay. But then now, that way we also have a creature to copy with the Sublime Epiphany, should we choose to. We'll have to wait till next turn for that, but that's okay. Murderous Rider. Alright, so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to flash in the Sailor to see if there's any responses, and there's not. So we're going to ionize that. The reason being is we don't want them to have like a murder follow-up since we saw that game 1. Okay, Regisaur is fine. We have the 6 mana here, so. Now we can just wait for them to play something. If they do, if not, then we can just copy our Great Shark, bounce the Regisaur. Okay. Wait till they go to attacks first so they can't just replay it automatically. So return. Copy, I draw a card. Return that, copy my Great Shark, I draw a card. And they're not dead because they do have the mana to replay it, but it's pretty close. If we find our one of Embercleave, they will be dead. Yep. Alright, so let's go ahead and cast this, see if we can find it. Nope, that's okay. Let's go ahead and attack them with everything. This will put them down to 4. And at least make them, you know, have to be worried about an Embercleave now. Not that they don't have the option of being able to not block it anyway, but still. Okay. So now they're down to 4. And we still have either a Sailor or Ionize up. And with them in top deck mode, that's right where we want them to be. And with the Regisaur, they're kind of priced into casting everything that they have anyway. Because if they don't, they're just going to lose it anyway. Okay. And since they didn't attack, we'll go ahead and flash in the Sailor here. Alright, so again, I'm gonna Insight. We're just going to pitch this island. But since we have 3 attackers, if we find our Embercleave, then we can still win that way. Okay, well, that works too. So we still have Ionize up, or Quench, or whatever we need. And then they're dead in the air. Yep, alright. So we got game 2, so we'll be going on to game 3. Game 3, I don't think we really change much of anything. Yeah. Maybe we take out the Narset and put a Lofty Denial back in. Them having the Regisaur does make the discard part of her slightly worse. But we'll see how it goes. And I do apologize, this will probably be a bit longer of a video, just from the fact of it being a control deck, but hopefully enjoyable for all of you. Okay, waiting on our opponent here. These monocolored aggressive decks are also something that got a bit more popular again with the recent bans. Wilderness Reclamation was one of the things that, well, and Teferi, we're definitely keeping these type of decks at bay because, you know, the Teferi bounces after or makes instant speed board wipes a thing, and then it was just really hard for them to beat Wilderness Reclamation because if they missed any step at all, they were kind of screwed. Now, this hand is a tiny bit risky to keep. We're really just relying on our Quench and not much of anything else to get there. Okay. But with them being a more aggressive tap out deck, hopefully the Quench will be good enough. Okay. Let's go ahead and play this tapped. That way we're not having to shock for anything. We still have Quench up. It looks like they're missing land drops, and this gives us the ability to have untapped 4th land without shocking next turn. So saving life totals is something that's probably going to save us here. Okay, so get to quench this Spawn of Mayhem, which always feels good. The spell may be cheaper, but not that cheap. Okay, and we'll go ahead and keep this up. It's still not shock in. We don't have our Dream Trawler or any of the white cards just yet, so it's not too important. And the awesome thing is we have Rewind plus Chemistry's Insight. Like, the Rewind reprint was so awesome. Alright, so go ahead and untap all of our lands here, and then we still get to Chemistry's Insight. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and shock here. I know we're at a kind of low life total, but I want to make sure that I have the Great Sharks to play, or we can make the Shark Typhoon a 3/3 if need be. So we do get hit, go to 8. Freebooter. Yeah, we'll go ahead and play the Great Shark there. They could have another one or an Agonizing Remorse also, but we're getting to the point where we can't really hold back. And I'm hoping that the Great Shark is not something that they can have a 2-mana kill spell for. They would have to have something like Heartless Act. Okay. Alright, and now this is something that I was talking about before with... no attacks. With the Shark Typhoon. Now we have the ability to cycle this for 1, make a 1/1, and have Lofty Denial if we need to. Okay, and that is exactly what we're going to do. So make a 1/1 Shark. Have the 2 mana left over, but now that we have a flyer, Lofty Denial is counter unless you pay 4. And they still can't really attack profitably. Perfect. Now we have our 6 mana up if we need it. Alright. And we can start attacking now since we have the Epiphany, Sailor, Great Shark, whatever we might need. If they discard to replay the Demonic Embrace, then Sublime Epiphany will be our option there. Just bounce Temerat, counter the spell, make another Great Shark, draw a card, and we'll be sitting in a pretty good spot there. Looks like opponent's kind of working through all of their options. Okay, so still going to do this. So still counter, bounce, copy, draw. So bounce that, copy Great Shark, I will draw a card. And this is more or less just to keep everything off of the battlefield, make sure they have an empty field. They can replay the Temerat or exile something with Temerat if they want to. Okay, looks like they choose to exile. So we'll get to hit in for a decent amount of damage here. Okay, and they just scoop it up. Sweet. So got there against the mono black aggro. Let's see what we got next game. All right, on to game 2. Against TFA Ferret. All right, let's see what we're going against. We have Quench, Angel of Grace, 5 lands. I'm actually going to keep this. It might seem a little risky, but we have all of our colors, and if things get too rough, then we do have the Angel of Grace. Okay, so with them just playing tap lands, we're not going to reveal that we have red in the deck just yet. Maybe make them think that we are some type of, blue-white control deck. Yep. So we have Spectral Sailor here. Counter the Euro there. We just don't really want them ramping up. We don't have a ton of things to do right now. So giving them the opportunity to ramp is not good for us. Now, obviously we have nothing to really do here, but that's okay. Yep. So we'll go ahead and flash on our Spectral Sailor. They kind of will get from this what's going on, and that's a lot of lands. That is a lot of lands. But now we can start drawing cards. We're not really in danger of anything just yet, so this Angel of Grace is pretty good. And go ahead and get a second red source here. That way, if nothing else, if we do end up drawing, say, Embercleave or something, we can start doing some type of damage. Alright, so draw a card. Okay, Lofty Denial is good. Lofty Denial is perfect. Yeah, we'll just put in second mountain. We're not really in danger of much just yet. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so even if they have Nissa here, they can't play around Dispute. Which looks like is what's going on. Or, okay, so they're thinking they're playing around Dispute. They can't play around Denial. Okay, now we're feeling pretty good. Getting in our attacks there. So they're down to 3 cards. We have Rewind plus Angel of Grace if we should need to, or just Rewind and draw a card. Alright, so we'll just draw here. Trio. More lands. Okay. Just gonna play this Fabled Passage right now. So obviously when we kept our hand, we weren't thinking we were gonna draw, 6 more lands, but it is something that happens. And we want to go ahead and use these Fabled Passages kind of now, mainly from the fact that, as you just saw, we only have 1 more basic in the deck. So if we end up drawing that basic, it feels pretty bad. Okay. Sure. And we're not playing the Triome because we don't need any more lands, so I would honestly much rather just have this for the cycle currently. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and cycle this because we still have Rewind up. Okay, so let's Rewind. And we will untap like that. So we can still draw a card if we need to. They still only have 3 cards in hand. They can't play an Ugin. Replaying a Euro is fine. Little Spectral Sailor's been doing everything that it can. Okay, well there's both of our Hamburg Leaves. That's good. Alright. Let's go ahead and... Oh, I just had to use the Fabled Passage and then I didn't do it. So we'll probably end up taking a hit or 2 from the Great Shark, or Great Shark, from the Euro. That should be okay. Looks like they're drawing a lot of lands as well. Big Crisis. Well then. We'll go ahead and Great Shark that. They get to draw 5, gain 5 still, and that does suck for sure. But we want to make sure that they also don't have a 10-10. Okay, Borrower's good. I like having Borrower there. Because what this allows us to do is we can flash the Embercleave on the Great Shark. And then if they have some response to it, then we can bounce the Euro. Because that's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, well. So we'll just go ahead and do this now then. They can get rid of one of our Embercleaves, but not both. And if they discard the Angel of Grace, then it's still doing what it's supposed to do anyway. Since it doesn't get exiled. Yep. So now we have this at any time should our life total be in danger. And if they don't do anything, we'll probably just go ahead and cleave up the shark. Yeah, that's fine. I could have drawn a card to see if I get a counterspell there, but alright. Let's go ahead and draw a card now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Well, that's annoying. I was gonna say I wasn't sure what was happening there. Yep. More than likely just flash in this borrower. And they still have 4 mana up. Okay. Yeah, that's fine. I'd rather get the borrower onto the field anyway. They're back down to 4 cards or 5 cards, so never mind. Whole new hand. Okay, now we'll have to denial. Now that Euro's not coming back for a good amount of time. Hopefully. Alright, Great Shark's a good draw. No real reason to shock that in just yet. Obviously can't really block or counter. So let's see, we have 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Well, I guess we're losing Embercleave here. Yeah, I'd rather just have our 5/4 down. So we do lose Embercleave, and that sucks a little bit, but it's not the end of the world. Is that all 4 thought erasures now? Nice. One, two, three. Yeah, so that is all 4 thought erasures. Yeah, no real way that we could have played around that, unfortunately. Sure. I still don't think we're at the point of scooping too much, just because they're not really doing anything. That was good. That was a good draw. 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so we would just make that into an 8/8. Cycle, make an 8/8. Hopefully they don't have some sort of removal spell for it, so we just get to block and kill the Euro. Okay. Great Shark's not a bad draw. Okay. Sure. Okay. So they're shuffling their Euro back in. They are getting pretty low on cards, so that's something that they kind of have to keep in mind. We'll hold the land here. No reason to play out the extra one. Okay, so they're just passing. Let's go ahead and cycle. Bone Crusher, is that something that I want to keep? I don't think so. Doesn't kill anything on their side. Okay, sure. I guess we just go ahead and play it out. No real reason to just deal a couple points of damage. Okay, that's fine. We still have all kinds of mana up. Both lands to the bottom. Okay, cool. Shark Typhoon is good. Also, keeping a point on the clock, we have a few minutes less than them, so that's something also to keep in mind. But again, they're down to 20 cards left in their deck, and they only have 3 cards in hand. So while they could play Large Krasis, it's not the best idea for them to do so, although it does look like they are doing so anyway. So now they're only going to be down to 15 cards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. So they are at a pretty high life total, but okay. More lands to the bottom. Them getting rid of our castle does hurt a little bit, but, you know, 6 mana, kill 2 things isn't the most exciting thing in the world. Well, that's kind of a dead card. Okay. So 2, 6, 7, 8, 9. I can make a 7/7 shark. Okay, we'll let them do that. I mean, not that we could counter it or anything like that, but still just wait for them to play it, bring it back, do all that fun stuff. They're playing a bit risky, that's for sure. And we'll basically let all this happen and we'll make a 7/7 shark. Ooh, maybe not. Okay, so we want to make sure that we have, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Possibly. So 4. Let's just make. So that's 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I would only have 2 mana up, so we'll make a 4/4. Yeah. I don't know why I didn't keep red up, just in case we do draw an Ionize. So if we draw exactly Ionize, I'm going to be sad here. Alright, well, we'll at least make them pay the 4. The good thing about that is that taps some of the mana out for, you know, anything that they might do. So then now they have less mana for the Nissa. Sure. Okay. Yep, there's our Ionize. Okay, go ahead and play this tapped. We are going to get hit for 9. Well, we could die. Well, no. So it should be for 12, but we're. Yeah, I don't think that works that way, unfortunately. So let's Ionize. Yeah, unfortunately, we're pretty dead here since it's not the old school rules of damage where it goes on the stacked. We could actually respond to dying, basically. But instead, we're going to get hit all at the same time and go to 0. Okay. So, sideboard, all the vetoes, Narset, and Sublime Epiphany. We'll go down the Great Shark since they don't really do a ton, and the Angel of Grace. And go down a Cleave as well. And 1 Bone Crusher, maybe 2? Yeah, go down 2 Bone Crushers. It's not really anything that we can kill with it. Actually, maybe it's right to go down all the Bone Crushers and just bring in a couple Dragonfire. Go down like a Brazen Borrower there. Yeah, there we go. It is a kind of cheap way to answer Euro if we need to. And we'll be on the play, so. Yeah, we'll keep this. Have all 4 of our lands. The Embercleave is a little bit awkward, but it's something that I think I would rather have access to than not. So that's perfectly fine to have. Alright, go ahead and shock. Veto is a really good draw there. Now if they go to Thoughtseize, we'll just denial it. Save our veto for something big. Okay. So more lands, not ideal, but also not the worst thing in the world. We will ionize that. More than likely what their game plan is to just kind of run us out of counter spells, which is what you definitely want to do. If you're ever going against control, the second you start being afraid of playing things is pretty much when the control decks have already won. You have to just keep playing your things, keep playing things that they have to answer, and if they don't, then you're probably going to win the game. That's why Sultai is so huge right now. We're letting this resolve. I'll talk about that here in a second. Sultai is so huge right now because it's all threats. Every single thing that they play is a threat. So the second that one of their threats go through, you've pretty much lost the game. And now the reason that we didn't counter that at all is more often than not, you want to counter the thing that they're trying to ramp into versus countering something that probably doesn't actually matter. Unless they've missed land drops for a few turns and like they finally draw the Cultivate, and that's what gets them to the point of being able to play something. We'll just go ahead and veto this. Veto is awesome because we don't have to worry about Mystical Dispute or anything like that. Okay, Spectral Sailor is a good draw. And if they don't do anything, we can just cycle a decently sized Shark Typhoon and maybe start getting in with Embercleave if we need to. Right here, we can also just flash in the Sailor and draw a card. Okay, they have no response, so that's good. Alright, that's what we like to see. But yeah, too often people get in this mindset of, well, they're just going to counter everything, so I'm just going to wait until I can play double spells. What that actually does for you is make sure that the control player has everything that you are afraid of them having. The more time you give them, the more they draw cards, the more they get set up, the more that they just don't have to worry about whatever you're doing. Okay. So I think we just go ahead and Lofty Denial this. And then if they should have some type of counterspell or something, then we'll just go through it. That's not a big deal. Okay, so in response to that, we'll go ahead and draw a card. I'm okay with them killing something. Like if they go and get a dispute exactly here, then that's fine by us. Well, get an island so they can dispute. Yep. Okay. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we can make a 5/5 shark, so that should be fine. And that's pretty decent size for us. That looks like a Nissa. It is. Okay. Well, we also have the option of just veto plus double Dragonfire. Interesting. Okay, so we will actually just go ahead and Dragonfire the Euro, make sure it's not coming back. And then next turn we'll deal with the Krasis if we need to. And the reason that this is an answer for the Euro is Scorching Dragonfire just says if the creature would die or Planeswalker would die this turn, it gets exiled instead. And since it has to sacrifice itself, it does technically die. Okay. Only 2 mana up. We should be okay here. Alright. Vantress is pretty decent. So 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we can make a 6/6 if we need to. Let's see what they do here. They have 3 cards in hand. Another Krasis. So 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold up this. Yeah, I guess that's what we do. So we will cycle this for 4. See if we draw a counter. Nope. Okay. But that's alright. No attack. Okay. So, gonna get a little sneaky, sort of, here. I'm going to swing in and see what they do. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3. Okay. So we are going to throw a Nimmercleave on here. Disdainful Stroke. Okay. Well, that's good to know. I definitely would much rather have them use it on that. So now we just... Yeah, we'll just let it go. I would much rather make a big shark next turn and be able to just trade with both of these. We do go to 1, but they don't have any like Bone Crushers or anything like that, so we should be okay. It's not looking great for us by any means, but it's also not looking like the worst thing in the world either. I mean, them having triple Krasis is definitely a problem. Yep. Okay. Well, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3. Unfortunately, I think what we need to do... 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Nope. We needed Sublime Epiphanies is what we needed. That way we can bounce one of these, copy one of our sharks and survive. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Guess we just do this for now. Alright, so borrower's not bad, but unfortunately we still just lose. Hard to beat triple crisis, that's for sure. Yep, so since these have trample, like we can bounce something, but then we just lose to the trample. Alright, good games, good game. There's a reason why Sultai Ramp is still good, because, I mean, Crisis is a heck of a card. Alright, so here is the last little look at the video. I don't know what else I might do. If the ramp decks start being more prevalent and like harder to beat, then I think we probably trade out some of these flame sweeps for another Narset and maybe some like Disdainful Strokes, Whirlwind Denials, another Sublime Epiphany, just something that helps stop that kind of stuff. Disdainful Stroke is probably more playable now, so I think that's going to be the next changes that I make, just to make sure that I have counters for literally everything that they do. Also might bring in another Shark Typhoon on the side, should I need that. But overall, I still think this is a lot of fun. It's a great list to play. If you want to check it out, the link will be below in the description, so definitely do so. And if you have any changes, I'm always open to those as well. If you want to check out my streams, I will be streaming mostly Sultai this coming couple of weeks. Red Bull Untapped tournament is a big tournament going on the next couple of weeks, and I hope to start doing well in those. So check me out on Wednesdays, and sometimes, well, it will be Saturdays in the next couple of weeks. So Wednesdays 6 p.m. Eastern and Saturday mornings at 7 a.m. while the Red Bull event's going on. Just go ahead and check me out. If you haven't yet, like and comment and subscribe on this video, and I will see you all next